I think it's about time, and we can start, as I hope more attendees would be joining as we move forward. First of all, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for taking time for joining this session and discussion about class. Class, as you would know, is world's first tool for synchronous online learning tool. But before we move on further, you see two logos on the screen. One is Edutech and the other one Class. So of course, the relationship is that of partnership. Edutech is a proud partner of Class in the Middle Eastern region. Before we get on to more details about Class, some more introduction about Edutech. So Edutech, since the year 1991, has been at the forefront of providing groundbreaking technology solutions for educational institutions. We take pride in serving institutions of all kinds, the government, academic, K-12, what have you. So we have been able to serve the clients from across verticals in solutions such as the classroom technology, library management systems, the learning management systems, lecture capture systems, the STEAM labs, as well as other laboratory solutions as well. We have existence in most of the GCC countries, although we are headquartered in Dubai, as many of you would know. But my colleagues are very much there in offices in Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and other countries in the region. We have over 50 partnerships in terms of providing education solutions and thousands of clients, as we have already spoken. And I'm glad to say that most of the names that I see in the attendee list, I have been able to interact with them in one form or the other, or for one solution or the other over previous years. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Massimo. Massimo is the regional head of Europe, Middle East, and Africa at Class. So, Massimo, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay, for the introduction, and actually, thank you for to Edutech to organize this webinar today, and to all attendees. It's definitely a pleasure for me. As Sanjay mentioned, I'm leading the operations across Europe, Middle East, and Africa on behalf of Class Technology. So in order to get started, before we jump into a product demonstration, I would like just to use some quick slides. I promise it's not going to be boring, just a quick slides to give an introduction about what the company really does today. Let's get started with the education landscape. And as we all know, the pandemic has forced institutions all over the world, actually, to to implement educational technology at a much more, let's say, extended, format. Let's say, in particular, virtual classroom solutions. So, looking at Zoom in education, Zoom has experienced a vertical growth. And now we see that a lot of instructors and students, feel definitely much more confident using technology, although there is definitely something that they're missing today. So what it is, that they're really missing today? I mean, a year ago, Michael Chazen, you may know him as the founder of Blackboard and other educational technology solution companies, was looking at the market and realized that there was definitely a missing piece if you consider the virtual communication and collaboration. So looking at the virtual classroom solution or the video conferencing solution that we use out there, he believed that there was no one really delivering all the key areas of functionalities that instructors and teachers require today in order to have a kind of one-stop solution where you can find all you need. So Class was created a year ago. Now, don't look at Class as a typical startup, let's say, because Michael Coates and the senior management team has been working before, put people together, look at the market out there. And Class didn't reinvent from scratch, let's say, the video conferencing component, selected a few platforms, And the choice was definitely on Zoom. So on the Zoom SDK, we created Class. So Class is a separate platform from Zoom, but a platform that perfectly integrates with Zoom and with Zoom only. So basically, we leverage what Zoom has today. Plus, we have redesigned the interface to make it look like a virtual class environment and added areas of functionality that definitely are not present in Zoom. So looking at how institutions are doing it today, I mean, a lot of institutions, we see that they're using video conferencing solutions or so-called virtual classroom solutions that in any case were not designed to support educational activities. We see that compared to what you can do in a physical classroom, so a lot of the actions and interactions you can have with your student as an instructor, like one-to-one discussion, you can have group presentations, you actually can run an evaluation and do an exam actually on site. You can have a layer of security, and at the same time, you can have a full traceability of all the people that are in the physical room. So you can divide them and work them in groups. There are a lot of things that you do to make it very, a very engaging experience. When we move this into a virtual environment, we see that the majority of those actions actually are missing, simply because you don't have the functionalities that can enable the instructor to drive the class in a way that would allow them to replicate what they can do in a physical classroom. You can have a fantastic video conferencing solution, but then if you want to do content sharing, for example, you need to just share your screen, then you're going to lose all the functionalities around to have a live interaction. So these and many other things definitely pushed Class to create this platform, which is a very extended platform, and it's just all you need actually in order to track the attendance, do presentation, do the assessments, have a great book, have an areas with the analytics and everything. And that's what we're gonna be seeing today, actually. So it's this extended classroom. And looking at that, before we jump into this, normally we say welcome to class, but I wanted to show you just this quick interface, which is what you have when you access Class as a standalone model. And then you see that this looks familiar to you. I guess that many of you are Zoom users, so you see that this is customized Class, but you could have easily a client logo there. And from here, you could create actually classes, schedules. You can implement that over several different courses. And then we can actually, in this specific case today, we want to launch a demo class. But instead of showing you an empty classroom, we have created a sandbox. So that's why you see this blue button here, launch demo class, to allow you to have a better understanding of what the experience will be like. So let me just stop this sharing now. And I want to launch my interface. So you're going to be able to see it. So now you're looking at my screen. I actually entered our sandbox, and I have entered actually as an instructor, and this is exactly what I found. So first of all, let me walk you through the main components, and then we can go granularly into some of the, let's say, key features and functions. Obviously, we're not going to cover all of that today because we would need that much more time to go through that. But we're going to be definitely available. And in this case, Edutech has set up the webinar, has engaged with you, and Edutech team will be definitely more than happy to engage with you on an individual basis to assist you on this. But today we're going to look at, let's say, the main components. So on the top left corner, you see myself. I'm just waving here, just simply to show you that I'm alive actually in the sandbox environment, while all the students and instructors you see there are obviously part of the simulations. But this is actually class. That's the class layout. That's how an instructor will see it. And that's pretty much how a student also will see it. And we'll see actually what would be the main difference between an instructor and a student. But overall, because you're a Zoom user, you know what a host and co-host and participants are in terms of role when you're using Zoom, so in class, we have mapped the roles. So you have an instructor, the structure is the teacher, is the professor, and this is mapped to the host. And then you have teaching assistants mapped to the co-hosting role. And then you have the students with similar privileges as the participants. And obviously they can do more than that. So if you go right below, I have decided, and I want to stress this point, I have decided simply because as an instructor, I believe, for example, that I need another camera. So I can just plug it in and just, with a link to this classroom, I can show, for example, this additional camera pointing to a blackboard, as in this case, or maybe it's pointing to my desk, or it could be pointing to a lab bench, whatever I want. And I can just pin it under the structure. Now, if I want to just, to have all the attention of the student just on that piece of content I want to share, I just click on those, 3 little dots you can see at the top right corner of each video. And because I'm an instructor, I could decide simply to pin it. So I see it now in the main center of the screen. When I don't need it anymore, I could actually put it back, or I could just, unpin it over here, and this will go back, for example, the gallery view. Or I could actually even go there and remove it if I don't need the camera. In a similar way, I could add definitely, more cameras. It really depends on how I want to use, the additional cameras inside the classroom. Point is, you don't need to create fake accounts in order to have these additional cameras, because then you're going to have analytics, for example. Analytics will track down the experience of each user inside the classroom. Here it's just about plugging it in, and then you have it. You can have a class cam, you can have an instructor cam, you can definitely easily add additional cameras. Now, below that, in this case, I decided not to pin anything under the structure. I just go straight to the main areas of functionalities, to the main areas where I can actually find exactly what I need in a specific location. So we see that the first tab, I see 4 tabs actually. The first tab is called Participant, is highlighted in blue. And then I see the second tab, Chat. Third tab, Class Management Tools, where we're going to see all the statistics and reporting things. And then I have Teaching Tools. Now, going back to what I was saying before, what is the main difference between a structured view and a student view is that when I have Teaching Tools, because I'm an instructor, the student will have student tools. And they have fewer functionalities there. But what is important is that they have the necessary functionalities that they require in order to participate into the activities, actually, that the instructor is going to launch, so he can interact with the other students as well. And they won't have access to the class management tools because only the instructor can access that area. Now, before we go granularly into each one of the tabs, let's go through the right, and we see that, first of all, what I see immediately is a gallery view. So that's what I see when I enter the class, right? I see all the students that I have over there. Right below that, you see actually the interface is showing me, the audio, the video, the possibility to record the session and then obviously reuse it. I can have actually a tab to have quick reactions, and every student will be able to do that, or raising hands. So when I raise hands, if I click on raising hands, you see that there is a little yellow hand that is actually popping up on the top right corner of the video. If I click it, it's going away. This is important because when the students actually they want to start asking questions, then I can visually immediately catch them over there, and I see which ones have reserved the spot to ask questions. Let's go on the upper part. We see that there is something that we call, the front of the room, basically, where you see another instructor and 2 teaching assistants. I mean, again, class is allowing the structures to have the options to organize or reorganize continuously the class and the sitting charts, as we see. But in this case, I have decided to have an instructor and assistant. Front row means that when I start sharing content, as in this case, if I launch a piece of content over here, I can still decide to have a structure and other assistants always available and present there in video and audio, just, available. But when I go back to the classroom, I will have it there, or if I decide not to have it there, I could just remove it. On the top right corner, I have the ability to select speaker view or gallery view. If I select speaker view, for example, it's going to show just the person that is talking. In this environment now, I'm the only one really a live presence, so that's why it's showing me talking, or I can keep it on a gallery view. I have actually also other options. Attendee view, on and off. Now it's off, but actually I could decide whether I want them to have exactly the same view that I'm having today now, the one that I'm sharing with you, or I want to allow them, to select the view. It just up to me to decide which one, I prefer to have. And another functionality is actually that could be good to consider is the privacy mode. So basically, it's possible to allow the students to select on and off in terms of showing or not showing their video. Now, we know that when you do some online lectures or webinars or activities, often actually it's kind of mandatory to show the video to the instructor. So it's a way to recognize the identity as well. So here, if you do on and off, because maybe the student doesn't feel comfortable showing his face to the rest of the students, or for any other respectable reason, we allow them to select that. If they put privacy on, only the instructor will see the video. But actually, all the students will not be able to see the video of that specific student. So in this way, we have the level of security and the compliance with the policies they're going to be using to show the video, but we preserve, let's say, the privacy of that student. Now, let's move to the other scroll down menu here called Sit in Chart. This is something available only to the instructors. So here they can decide how to reorganize the students. So they could reorganize it in alphabetical order, for example, or maybe by hand raised. That's what I mentioned before. When you start raising hands, then how can you spot immediately which one did it first or second or third? So if you click raising hands, you see that the system now has reorganized the list of all the students, and you see, Jordan, Tia, Jimmy, Vanessa. I mean, you see the order that they're following, which is the chronological order. So I see exactly which one should be allowed to talk first, and the second, and the third one, and so forth. I can actually do a few other things over here where I can reorganize the students, and I could also reorganize the front row. So now I have, for example, the assistant, the structures. I could decide to have some students with the role of presenter, or maybe remove that as presenters. For example, I have this student called Vanessa. I can move her to make her a presenter. So you see that there is this pink, actually, color, say presented, and then I could go actually to Sit in Charts, select front of the room, and put presenter. So this is going to show the presenter always actually, easily identifiable by the rest of the student, the rest of the class. So if I'm in an activity where these 3 students need to talk about a specific piece of content, as in this case, I share some content, so all the students will see the video of those students. They can listen to the audio, they can see to the content that is being shared and discussed at this specific moment. But at the same time, it is just one click away to go back to the tab where I can see all the students. So by doing this, I'm introducing actually an additional functionality that you will not really find anywhere else in terms of virtual classroom solution today, which is the navigation by using the tabs, like in a browser. Now, today, when you're launching an activity or a content or a piece of content, you're doing something, inside a virtual classroom or a video conferencing platform, you can actually share the screen, or maybe you can launch something, but then you need to stop it, relaunch it again. Here, the system is just launching a new tab. So in the new tab, you will see actually the additional activities or content that is being shared. And you can decide actually how to do it. For example, if you don't want this front room over there, you can actually just move it and take away, the front room and use all the space for the content that you want to share but still can go back to the classroom. Now, this is just a overall, introduction to the main component of the interface. As you can see, it's pretty much, let's say, a classroom layout. But let me go back to the 4 tabs. First of all, let's start with participants. I know that some people will have questions. I think we prefer to keep the questions, through the end. So ask your questions in the Q&A sections, of the Zoom interface that we're using today. And then, once I finish with this introduction, I'm going to be more than happy to answer a few questions. Now, let's go through the participants. So let's consider, as I said, that I'm in structure and I've just entered this room. By the way, this is my virtual classroom. So this is my virtual classroom for this specific course. This means that as I have normally a physical room, I kind of hold the keys of my room, right? And I could have even shelves where I can put some books, material, stuff, everything, in a physical environment. This is actually my virtual environment. It could be my course of biology, business administration, or literature, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You can have every room for every course where you're teaching. So here, under the list of participants, the system is telling me immediately, I don't need to do anything. I just look at that, and the system is telling me, in this room, there are 2 people with the role of instructors, and I say 3 people in the presenting group, 2 teaching assistants, and then, very important, is telling me there are 19 students present. And then if you scroll down, it's telling me that there are also actually 3 students absent. So what's happening here? All the students, actually even the structure, but all the students have their own credentials. We could integrate the list of the students in each course with this specific virtual classroom. And we're using just, email address and names. If we do it on a standalone model, we just, if we click on class management tools, I click on class roster, and you see that this is actually popping up a new window. Let me reshare my screen in full because I want you to see the full, exactly. Now you should be able to see actually, there's additional window that is popping up where I can click on edit students, and then you see that I can actually have the students over here, and then, I can add them directly into the system. Or I can simply integrate it with your learning management system. This means that if you're using, for example, Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard, Sakai, any student learning management system that is using LTI integrations, we could perform a single sign-on and integrate class into all the courses. This means same credentials. So when a student gets into your learning management system with their credentials, just with username and password, and then they can go to all the courses where they're enrolled. It could be 20 different courses. Now, when they go into each one of the courses, they could find the virtual classroom related there. I mean, they see the link. If they click, they just jump into that. They don't need to be verified again. And the system will track all of them. So the system is actually tracking all of that, all the traceability. What happens then? If I scroll down, I see here that there are 2 students that that have a little, red dot, you see, with exclamation marks. And if I go actually on top of the students, you will see the blue button say more. Now, the system is flagging me that there are 2 students that have never been here before, apparently. Okay, it could be, or it could be different. But let's say that this Lilia Vasquez, for example. Lilia is now into a kind of, I wouldn't call it exactly a waiting room because she can see the content, but she cannot do anything else. She cannot interact with anybody except for the instructor. So Lilia Vasquez is unverified. So if I click here on more, the system will allow me to verify this person as a new student. So I see that maybe this person has just joined later, this course, not from the first lesson. So I can just click verify Lilia, and the second time she will try to get in, I won't have to verify her again. Now, Joe Walton, this other guy over here, it could be an existing student, but he's using somebody else's computer. So it's important to actually have the same credential in order to be traced completely, not just for this session, for example, to all the session of the semesters, and then to run reporting. So it could be verified as a new student, but if it's not in the list of the, sorry, on the existing students, but it's somebody that has kind of, you know, got hold of this link to get into this room. And I know that a lot of institutions, you know, have experienced that in the past with many video conferencing solutions. Somebody was trying to get in and try to disturb the lessons and everything. So here, this person is not really able to do anything, and you could remove it if that student is not authorized to be there. Once removed, that person, you know, cannot even try again, you know, with the same computer. Or account, so they need to use something else. This is adding an additional layer of security. Now, if I click on class management tool now, and I click simply to attendance, I will see that, you know, this is a new window popping up, and this is showing me, for today's sessions, is showing me the list of the students, and then all the students actually that are expected to be in this course. It will tell me also the absent one, as you can see. And it will tell me the time in, the time out, and everything. I could actually even click and go more granularly on an individual level. Now for this simulation, you see actually, you know, the different students, you can pop them up, but you could go around reporting also for the semester. So you can have a full tracking, and then everything can be actually downloaded. Now that's what happens, you know, how we manage, let's say, the users. And as many of you, probably the large majority of you will use a learning management system, we recommend to use an integration with the learning management system. It's also, you know, the best way to make things easier for your admin, for your instructors, because everything is going to be integrated with same credential. Now, let me go to the second tab, where we can see the chat area. Now, if I go to the chat area, the chat worked in a very similar way as it was today on Zoom. What is important is that the structure can decide who the students can chat with. So you can allow actually them to chat just with the instructors, also on an individual basis, or can chat with everybody, basically inside the room. It just up to this to the instructor to decide how to move on. Now, before we go again into class management tools, I think I'd like to jump into teaching tools, because that's the area where the instructors, and I understand that, you know, in our audience today, there are definitely several instructors and professors. They want to see how easy it is actually to use this tool. Because we promise to deliver actually lots of functionalities, and actually we do, but we leave all the complexity behind. So at the end of the day, although we support, you know, and at the beginning, when we sign up a new client, we provide also training services, and for example, with a client that is actually purchasing access to class through our partner Edutech, we actually have Edutech as a certified training partner that is going to allow you actually to get access to a lot of, let's say, a lot of material, best practices and everything. So we have all this type of components, because we're definitely not here just to sell some software, we're here to partner with you. So here you can find the main areas of functionalities I'm going over quickly now that an instructor needs. So syllabus is the first one. Syllabus, if I click on syllabus, the system is actually launching something that I have preloaded, that I have prepared before entering this room. So I'm sharing a Google Doc now, but it could be actually, you know, a PDF, could be a PowerPoint, a Google Slides, you know, a lot of format. If I go on almost on the top right corner here, I see that there is this button called Update Syllabus. Now, I could remove the current syllabus. I could click on Choose Files if I want to just add something directly from, you know, from my own computer, or much better, I'm an instructor. I want to prepare my courses whenever I want, even when I'm on vacation, outside of my working hour, whenever I want. So I want to prepare my material. So I have my virtual shelf, you know, when I can put my documentation. Then I just click on that. These are all documents I have prepared before. So when I go into the room, I just select that, I save it, and the system is going to launch it. So now I'm going to launch, for example, a Google slide, right? And this is a work that I'm explaining. Or maybe I go back, clicking simply to the classroom tab where I can see all the students. And by the way, when I click on this, you know, all the tabs will open also for the students. So I'll be able to navigate the students too. So let's say that I have the ones that I selected as a presenter. I can go to the seating charts. I can put the presenter on top here now. So when I go to the syllabus, I can decide actually to place the, you know, those videos on top or actually to the you know, to the right. It really depends on where I want to put them. So actually, these 3 students will be able to not only talk about the document that I see here, but actually they could be able to work in real time on that and share that with the rest of the class. And then if I want to stop it, I want to go back to them, I want to ask them if they have questions or anything, I could do it simply just one click away. Now, this is what I can do with the syllabus, but let's say that I could actually launch assignments directly into the system. I can import or create new assignments. And then, you know, I could prepare them, as I said, you know, similar thing as I'm doing, you know, for the syllabus. So if I go to this orange button called launch, then the assignment will be launched inside the room as an activity. So I don't need maybe this first row anymore. I can actually, you know, take it off and I use the whole screen. So I'll see, you know, an assignment, or I can go actually to an assessment, a quiz. As in this case, I have prepared actually, you know, some simulations, and you see that you could actually import or create assessments or actually launch the one that you have prepared. You say, click on creating new assessments. Then, quick example here, you give them, you know, the assessments are passed. You can put some explanations over here. What is important for me to show you is that you can click on questions, and then once you click on questions, you can actually have different options. You can actually add new questions, and you see that you have actually quite a few options. You know, you have multiple choice, matching, short answer, true, false, descriptions, calculations. You can do lots of things, and you can create these questions, or you can add it from a question bank, because maybe you have created a few questions and you want to just create one, just speaking as you wish. Some of the questions, you select them and you add them directly to the specific questionnaire that you want to launch, you know, to the students, or you can add it at random. So now here, for the sake of this simulation, let me just launch something here. For example, this human body. And this is launching, yes, this quiz. I can click on preview quiz now. And I'm launching something that I have created with the assessment creator that is part of class. So you can see you can have pictures, you can have, you know, different type of questions. And by the way, what you see now is actually my instructor experience, because I'm sharing my screen, right? So you're going to see exactly how I see it. That's why you see what I'm typing, okay? But when I launch these activities into the room, everybody here, all the students that I see present into this room, will have their own individual experience. So nobody will be able actually to see what the other ones are going to answer, you know, into their form. And when they click on submit, you save the changes, and this form will go straight to the system. The system can be easily set up to send back basically the results of this form, and even with the scoring, where you're going to see actually the correct answer and also the wrong answer with the correct the answer that it should have been, you know, used for that each specific question. And everything actually then will go back into an online gradebook. So if I click on class management tools, I have an integrated gradebook, and I can see that here now. This hasn't been set up because it's simulation, but just to show you that you will have actually the list of all the students and the list of all the quizzes, and then, you know, the results for each one of them. But let me tell you that because, again, many of you are using a learning management system, we have a functionality here called learning management system. So if I click on that, I can actually launch, you know, a tab that is going to open up. Now, for example, that's a Moodle website. But if I click on LMS settings, I could actually decide, you know, to integrate with other LMS systems, or if I don't put anything, I could simply put the LMS URL over here, right? So once I do that, I could actually navigate the students into my own system. And then if I had created my own assessments into my Moodle or into my Canvas, I'd be able actually to pull them in and have the experience in the synchronous environment, which is extremely important, because today, if you put actually an assessment there, a test, they will have to take it in an asynchronous mode, right? So you can tell them, hey, go to the Moodle or, you know, or Blackboard or whatever, LMS system, go to the course and take your assessment. What is the level of security there? How you can track them down? How can you actually make sure that, you know, it's actually safe, that nobody actually hacking them? You know, there are different ways to do these things. So here, you can actually drag it completely into this synchronous environment. So everybody will see his own quiz again. So when they click into the room and they go inside, they will pull up the form, and this will be an individual experience. The advantage is that you can either create it with class or whatever, you know, tool you're creating and using with your LMS system, you can use it. If you're taking it directly into your LMS system, you're doing an asynchronous environment, and then the results will go straight into the gradebook of your LMS system. So you can actually use either ours integrated to track down all the synchronous activities, and then you can export the data, or you can use yours. In any case, actually, you can use both, you know, in terms of tracking attendance and things. But in terms of gradebook, you decide which way you want to be using this. And again, I'm sure that there could be some questions here, and I'll answer them at the end. Now, we have also the ability to do polling questions. Presenter mode is a functionality that is not actually launched yet, but we will launch it soon. We have a whiteboarding. We can browse the web. Actually, even just browsing the web is a very, very easy experience. So you can actually prepare these web pages, have the list over here, or just add one on the fly while you're using it. So you have it there. As you can see, you have this orange button whenever it says launch. When you click on launch, this is going to open up a new tab. So because we don't want to disrupt any of the activity that is happening, you know, in this lab environment, because going back to what I was saying in the beginning, it should be a very engaging experience. It should be something where, you know, the students feel differently, something that they're part of it. So it's not going to be boring. So you're talking about a specific syllabus here that you have launched, you're explaining this. Maybe at some point you launch, you know, an evaluation that they're taking a synchronous mode in 15 minutes, and then you want to launch actually a web page because you want to talk about something. And maybe this is not exactly the web page you were looking for. So you can actually launch it here, look for the web page, and only share the web page. You see the blue button, share with class, once you have the right one, because maybe you haven't saved there, but it's something that, you know, you want to just navigate through that, and you want to find, you know, the correct one that you're looking for. So it's definitely possible to do it. It happens a lot also, you know, with the video, that maybe you can prepare them up front, or maybe you don't have it, something that you remember. But anyway, you can have this fluid navigation. If you go through video, for example, over here, you can go and you have, as an instructor, again, this window, you know, popping out. And, you know, you have some simulations here that we have prepared, and you can simply launch the video. And you can decide whether you want to retain control, or you want to give control to the students, you know, to play it at their own pace. Let's say they want to click and retain the control, which is probably the best way to make sure that you have a fully synchronized experience. I mean, let's be clear, today, probably, you know, if you're using a video conferencing solution, a way to share a video is actually by sharing your screen, which is not the best way to do it. First of all, for the quality of of the streaming that you get, but in particular because you're gonna actually lock all the rest of functionalities, nothing else that you can do if you're just sharing your screen. Here I'm sharing a video. I can actually go back to the classroom and see everybody, go back to anything that I was sharing before. And then when I go to the video, which is this new tab popping up, when I click on play, this will go on play to all the videos, actually, to all these desktops of all the students that you have. And actually, if I put pause, this is pausing exactly the same times for everybody. So if I'm pausing and then I want to decide that actually I had a wonderful video, I want a specific part of this video over here, I just drag over there and just put on play. And this can go on. So the systems will not gonna be requesting, to download the heavy files or to actually wait till your cache memory is half full or whatever. It's actually designed for low bandwidth consumptions. It's integrated with YouTube, but we're going to be integrated with more providers. And it's the best way because at the end, what you're sharing is actually the link to that. But it's very consistent and within the classroom experience. So let me tell you also another areas of functionalities. I mean, we have also sharing files. So when the instructor wants to upload some files, he could actually upload them. And as an instructor, obviously, I could actually launch them, inside as an activity inside the virtual classroom environment in an asynchronous way. But if, I'm a student, actually, I will find in the area of sharing files, the files, I could actually even download them. So I'm not going to be able to launch it to everybody as a student, but I'm going to be able to download it. And that's also important because maybe I forgot to do something or for whatever reasons, even when the class session is over, let's say that this session runs 2 hours, 3 times per week for the next semester, then outside of the session's hours, if I want to go back, I could actually still go back into the room. I cannot interact, I can do anything else with anybody else, but I can still access the sharing files area. So actually you can go there, click and download. So I can still do that. And if I go actually to class management tools, I've already showed, the attendance, the gradebook. I could actually even launch some breakout rooms. So this is in beta till the end of the month. We're releasing this new functionality, but is going to work in a similar way, for example, as it's working today in Zoom. So for example, I could have all the students and decide to have them automatically or manually assigned to different rooms as I'm doing today. So you can create different rooms. It's like sub-rooms within the main one. Now, today in these rooms, they can do audio, video, they can do screen sharing in each sub-rooms. But we're going to actually, done in the roadmap, what we're going to be releasing and working on for the next few months is actually to have more functionalities of interaction within each room and have only the professors, with the ability to actually listen and go from room to room, even without joining that. I mean, that's what we're working on. I wanted to give you something else about what we're working on, but it's very important to have this breakout room. So it's important for us to keep on investing also in that side. Now here, still on class management, and again, I invite you to obviously test all the functionality that we put over here, but for this, sake of the time here, let me just show you some main ones. So we have a dashboard, and the dashboard is something that is going to show me immediately as an instructor the experience, how much I've talked, how much is the talk time also from the students, the interactions and things, and I could even export these activities. And actually in this area, it's also very important to consider that we have an instructor area where, depending if they're using a Mac or a Windows, let's say that they're using a computer Windows, right? So they're launching this and an instructor kind of, forgotten how to create a release a class, how to create an assessment or whatever. So they could just click here. And although they've taken the training, but if there is something that I have never experienced before, we have actually created this easy to use kind of a structured area where the system is actually guiding you through screenshot, very fast to what you need to do and how to do it. So you don't need to go into complex, manual instructions. It's going to be very fast and straightforward. Now, let me just stop here now, because the goal today was to give you kind of an overview, but let me show you a couple of things. As you can see, actually, I have a lot of tabs already open. I can still navigate through my sessions. Actually, I can close them when I don't need anymore. But I want to show you also another functionality. When I have this gallery view, as you know, in a physical classroom, there are a lot of body signal, eye contact, a lot of interaction that when you translate that into a virtual environment, it's kind of gonna get lost. So you want to make sure that you're always on top of your class, especially when you have several students, right? So in a visual environment, you want to understand exactly who are the students actually are participating the most or the least into what you're doing. The bottom line for you is actually to have a very engaging experience. So you raise the bar because this is going to have an impact on the students. Now, you can actually reorganize the students using the seating charts by using the participations. And this is what happens. And by the way, this is visible to the instructors, right? So they can see that all the students have been reorganized and they could have a red, a yellow, or a green bar. And what is important is that the one in red are the ones that with the least participations. Obviously, this is a simulation, so I'm not really participating into this. But if I see the ones in yellow, that's the average of the class. And in green is above. But the ones in red are the ones that are not talking, right? Are the ones that could be shy because they haven't understood something. So it's important for me, to understand the ones that need to re-engage with or they need support. So this is some additional information the system is giving me. Now, before jumping into a Q&A session, let me just stop sharing this. I want to go back into my slides because there is a new functionality that we're launching in July. This is something that actually the professors, are asking a lot all over the world. And in particular because of the pandemic, it's, going on site could be problematic. And if you want to run an exam and a task specific, you want to make sure that, you preserve the level of security. You need also somehow to integrate a kind of a throttling tool, something that can allow you to feel more secure that the students, I wouldn't say that they cheat, but they're not looking at using something that is not allowed into an exam, type of session. So here's the throttle view. So the structure can actually integrate this type of view. So they're going to be able to see in real time, not only the video of the students, but next to them, they will see what they have in the desktop in real time. So it's not a spy software. It's not an intrusion of the privacy of the students, but actually showing live what they have. So in this case, for example, they're taking an assessment that has been launched inside the class. They're using class as the primary interface. And, by looking at the video, obviously, they're looking at the screen, but they could be looking at different things on the screen. When you look on the real screen, you see what they have. So if they're showing, as in this case, that they're using, they're popping up with, with a form, that you have lunch and everything, this is fine. If you see that launching, for example, a web browser because they're looking for the answer somewhere else or they're chatting with somebody, this is not allowed. And you could actually even reach out individually and tell them that you see that. And in any case, let me tell you that once you start the exam, you inform the students and they will have to click authorizing, to share, their desktop with the instructor. As simple as that. So it's very clean and linear. Now, we have a lot of areas, a lot of interactions actually can happen into the classroom. Let me just tell you that we customize URL is a full cloud-based solutions based at AWS. We will we can run also some simulations, and with the support of the Edutech team, you can run some. You can have some demo access accounts. You can run some trials, and you can test it yourself. So, my goal today was to give you an overview, right? And then you can try yourself. You can put your hands on the software. And what is important is that I try to show you that, you know, you can have a platform, you can have a good level of security where you can track down automatically all the students, all the activities that happens, you know, all the critical activities that happens inside the room. You can have reporting, you can even run assessments, you can have a different type of views. You can have the ability to share content, pull out activities, create even content or assessment inside the room, or use that by integrating it with your LMS systems and then have it on a single sign-on basis. Why this is important? Because a lot of instructors are lacking, you know, the basic tools. It's important because you need to drive your classroom. I mean, delivering a virtual session, it cannot be just using a video conferencing solutions and just sharing your screen. It means a lot. I've been showing you a lot of different, you know, options for interactions, and this is actually what can replicate and go even beyond the experience of a physical classroom. You can even record the sessions. We don't really put any limit today on the classroom that sessions that you can archive. You can have it archived locally or on our cloud. And as long as you're with us, you can access, you know, all of your archives. Now, I want to just stop here now, and I want to just go back, give it to my colleague Sanjay to, you know, ask the moderator if there is any questions that I'm asked to answer right now.
Definitely. Thanks, Massimo. That was quite insightful. I would like to now invite questions from the audience to ask the questions or doubts that they might have about the solution, the efficacy, the various tools that are there on the platform. As Massimo mentioned, these all tools are meant to plug the gaps which are existing in online or remote or virtual learning as far as the synchronous learning is concerned. You know, we all have wonderful tools, the wonderful learning management systems, but when it comes to virtual classrooms in a synchronous setting, we fall short of being able to share content, ask questions, assessments, assignments, and having group discussions synchronously, driving the screen of the students and all of that. So those concerns are going to be answered by class. So with that, over to the audience to ask questions, please, so that we can answer them one by one.
Actually, I see a question from somebody asking about the video experience not being smooth. I can confirm that the video experience is smooth. Because during the sessions, you were looking at the interface with the desktop sharing. I mean, you were not present into class. We haven't been using class interface to have this session, but we've been using Zoom, and then I share my screen. Actually, if in some cases you see the video, you know, just going a bit slow or something, for example, inside the class, it's because of the screen sharing. And that's exactly our point. If you're using class to run your session, then actually the bandwidth requirements are extremely low, and your speed is going to be very clean and smooth. But in any case, I invite you actually to, you know, to try yourself using class, and Sanjay and the Edutech team will be able to assist you.
Yes. We can also have questions one-to-one. If you would like to have a separate session, we are more than happy to get on a separate discussion. We already, are in touch by way of emails. So do feel free to ask questions separately as well. But since we are here as a group, we still encourage you to ask any questions or any observations that you might have at this point. I hope you all like the solution and you think that this would really plug the gaps which are existing currently for virtually held classrooms in a synchronous environment.
Yeah, actually, I can answer a question that was even asked before. You know, the session started from some of the attendees that we contacted up front. Sure. One is, for example, you know, about the concurrent users. So how many actually people you can have, you can handle inside the classroom. Well, actually, we can tell you that class is not setting the limits. Because when you're using class, you need to have an active license of Zoom as an instructor. If you're going for the one with 300 concurrent users, then you can use it with 100 concurrent users. If it's more or less, I mean, that's fine with class. It's important to consider that class is sold and implemented at the institutional level. So we don't sell one structure individual license. We don't sell packaging license. This is an enterprise software solutions going for the institution. So a university, a school, a company going for corporate learning type of activities, which it is just one straight implementation. We implement it through the LTI if there is an integration with the LMS system, or not if they want to access it as a standalone model. But in any case, once we implement it, all the instructors, all the professors in that institutions will be able to use it. Will be able to use class in all their courses. There will be no limits on the class number of actually virtual classes that they can actually build and customize for each course. And inside each class, they can keep it as long as they want, as long as they have a valid contract, obviously, with class. Okay, I think that we're reaching the bottom of the hours that we have selected. I think we're good to wrap it up. Sanjay, what do you think?
One last point, I'm not sure if I missed it, but I just wanted to mention that here. So class is now generally available on all device types.
Yep.
So there is no restriction on any device type that you might or might not have, whether an Android or an Apple or any device type, even a Chromebook, you can access class seamlessly on all device types.
Yes, indeed. So full support for Mac and Windows, but also the students can actually even access it through tablets, Android or iOS, and even Chromebooks. So we look forward actually to support you individually through assisting you, going through your evaluation process to test actually class and hopefully implement it. Thank you very much for having me here today. It was a pleasure for me, and again, I hope that we're gonna run into each other soon. Back to you, Sanjay, to close it.
Thank you, Massimo, and thank you for thank you to everyone for taking this time out to join. Hopefully, we'll have further discussions starting from here. Any questions, feel free to write to us, and we will take it from there. Thanks once again, everybody, for joining the session today.